Okay, the first is on the agenda for study sessions is a contract for the all schools day statue to be put on the west side of the entrance to the community building. I showed you the picture last week, basically of that. The city attorney has gone through it. Basically, I don't have a reply yet from the sculptor, but he sent the contract and we tweaked it and sent it back to him last night. But I'd like to act so we can keep the process going forward. There are a total payment will be of 132,000, which is a little bit less than 145 I initially said that may be, and that would be paid out in 3 payments of $44,000. And the first one would be at the signing, and then when he makes certain progress, and then at the end, when it's all done, there'll be another 44,000. We are still responsible, like we were with the Globe Refiners, to put in all the foundation work and any electrical and that type of stuff. And we'll work to get that in a separate contract. So I'm hoping that this is all in agreement. Some of the changes that we made from what he did is a force majeure, which is in every city contract, and a couple other just tweaks on things that he wrote. So I think we will probably not have a problem with this, but I would like to bring this when we go back into commission session so we can keep the ball rolling on the time frame.
I mean, that's the same sculpture that did
The same one that did the Globe
did the,
Refiner.
right. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure
And
we had
I
that.
will say, we have $100,000 donation already been made. And I have a commitment up to 45,000 if there's any change order, anything that we need. So we have the cost of the sculpture covered, and just the installation will be on the city.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Jeff,
Bring-
do you
bring-
have anything you want to add?
No, I would just, if we bring it back to commission today, just make it subject to my legal review.
Yeah.
So we can tweak whatever. we
Yeah,
need.
just in
Okay.
case he makes
Yep.
some change.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Any questions?
I don't have any.
Okay,
No.
I'll go to the fire department. Chief Weisman.
We had 2 items for study session this week. Our apparatus, when it rains, it pours. All the fire department vehicles have battery tenders and auto pumps on them to maintain our 12 volt and 120 volt electronics and air pressure on the trucks. Those things are examples. You can see the examples. We lost the one that we usually recycle those and move them from unit to unit throughout the years. And we lost those 2. One started not working completely, and the other one started trying to boil the battery on squad 1. So we disconnected those, and we looked at having them rebuilt, but they were almost as much as buying a new one. So I'm sure they do that intentionally. So we came at getting 2 new ones, and they're $1,018.18 each. We got approximately 20 years out of the last 2, so I imagine we're going to get that out of these as well.
So will you bring them next week?
Yep.
Okay.
And the next item is NFPA associate, or the National Fire Protection Association subscription that we do annually every year. It went up a little bit from last year, but it's pretty much staying consistent. So we would like to bring that as well, and that helps us with our training, equipment acquisitions, and fire prevention, as well as codes. That's $1,495.
Okay.
That's a,
Yeah.
All right.
Bring it next week.
Thank you.
mhm.
Okay, police department.
Morning, Mayor, Commissioners.
Morning.
I have one item for your consideration. The McPherson Police Department has been attempting to recruit new officers. We're currently looking to hire 4 officers. In reading the Governor's Commission on Racial Equity and justice, the recommendation is to expand residency requirements to communities and demographics which may not have an opportunity locally. We checked with other police departments and found the following. Newton PD has a 40-mile residency requirement. Salina PD has a 40-minute response time. Ottawa PD, 35 miles. El Dorado, 30 minutes. Great Bend, 30 minutes. Andover PD, no residency requirements. McPherson PD, 15-mile residency. To have a fair opportunity in our recruiting efforts and success, I think expanding the residency requirement to 30 miles would be a good idea. I know we would want our officers to be invested in our community and be close for immediate response in case of emergencies. I fully agree to these reasons. I also know that we will have a larger applicant pool if we were to reach out further. 30-mile response time will give us opportunity to hire applicants from Hutchinson, Salina, Newton, Heston, and Marion. These officers will be responsible to respond when called in for work, training, and special assignments. They will not have a take-home vehicle. I also understand that there is an unknown when deciding if this is a good decision. Other agencies could recruit our officers, but if the officers are not happy, I would expect them to leave anyways. This happens in our building 3 to 4 times a year when the sheriff has open positions. I would like to open up residency if possible.
I was thinking that we had 18-mile, not 15
It's 15.
on it, but maybe it never got changed because I know McCarty asked for 18 to get down to Medora in that area there. But anyway, one of the reasons why we've been slow to change is that we like to have people part of the community, as the chief has stated. If you change it to 30 miles, I don't believe that gets you to Salina.
I have a map by,
That may be as the crow flies, but if you drive it, it's more
Right.
like 38.
sure,
So, and that's just to get to the south edge pretty much. So, depending on what you're looking at, I'd like to get feedback from the commission.
Well, I guess I wouldn't have a problem with a 30, with going to 30 miles. I guess, obviously, there's some, weather involved in that and one thing or another. So I guess we'd have to keep that in mind. That you can't get there where you can't get there, and you don't want them to do it, be unsafe to do it. So,
absolutely.
but I guess I'd be in favor of it.
Commissioner, no?
I'm just a little concerned about it myself. I mean, I really am. What would happen in a case of an emergency and we're waiting 30 minutes for somebody to get here? For some additional staff, to get here. What's been the problems Chief, in the past just within the 15-mile limit? Has it been really difficult to hire people?
It's been difficult to get officers, period, just because of the climate that we're in. And then you have, we've had a couple officers leave because they wanted to live in Heston, but that was outside the requirements.
Uh-huh.
And, spouses work in Wichita, so they want to cut that in half,
Yeah.
to help their wives, their spouse, husband or wife, have an easier commute as well. So there's always the argument of, is it a great idea? Is it a bad idea? It's an unknown.
Yeah.
Most of it's probably a spouse related, isn't that? Is
Sure.
that
Sure.
correct in basically assuming that, I
Yeah.
guess?
I mean, my wife
Anything?
drives to Wichita every day.
Mhm.
I have to live within the city, so this is not for me at all. This is for the officers who are married to teachers
Mhm.
that work for USD 418. They just want to live in Heston.
Mhm.
And there's others. There's bigger pools that we can get to. If we hired 4 officers from Hutchinson and had them move up here, and it took them a long time to get up here, and I'm glad they came up. But now they're talking about, I want to be a little closer to my family. Maybe that is the halfway mark, or maybe that's back in the city where they're from. I don't know, but to the McPherson Police Department and the citizens here, I say it's worth the risk.
What I'd like to propose is that you bring the 30-mile next week, and you bring a map to put up of where 30 miles really goes. I have a hard time believing it goes to Salina.
Are you gonna look at this for other employees too, or just PD? Because if you look at our residency requirement, we're all employees except for those appointed are subject to that. So I guess this is a question, do you go beyond PD on this entire thing? And
From my standpoint, this is for PD. And if you want to change the entire city, then that's a separate issue.
okay, well, you'll have to change the
We-
employee policy too.
Well, didn't
so-
we change didn't we change street department in here 2, 3 years ago Jeff, maybe you know more about that.
And that's when ours changed to 15 as well.
Yeah, and the city employee policy basically states that for all employees.
Yeah, well, I think we could have an exception, but we'll bring it next week and talk about it. If you think about it over the next week, and if you want to do it for all employees, but we have a problem. We've had 4 openings for a long time. If that'll help us to fill it, we will do it. But like I say, this is the way the crow flies. And when it's just taking the south edge way the crow flies, but you're not gonna get them going up Old 81 and over. And
Mhm.
so I just think that you take a hard look at where you can really live when you're talking about Salina.
Okay.
But bring it next week and we'll discuss it, and it doesn't mean it will pass, but in the meantime, challenge the commission to take a look at the entire employee manual statement, and maybe the administrator will put that out to everybody here at the beginning of the week, so you can take a look at that piece too. Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Burns.
Morning.
Morning.
I have several items today to discuss. Janetta, feel free to join in. During the fall retreat, I presented the needs for the water park. These necessary repairs were after our budget, and I was directed to get pricing on the repairs. The repairs are the splash pad in the lazy river. We have jagged edges. We need to brush, blast, and remove all loose and deteriorated coatings. After the blasting operation is completed and flared edges will be sanded down and smoothed before new coatings are applied. This method will provide the proper profile and anchoring patterns for the application of a new coating. After the blasting operation, the areas with cracks will be ground and patched with epoxy patch. Broken concrete will be replaced, and the floor of the splash pad in the lazy river will be retreated with a non-slip surface. The price on this with Torrey Brothers is $62,350. The only way we can pay for this would be out of the Water Park Reserve Fund, which is trickling down very quickly with all the repairs and capital repairs that are going on at the water park. We have $329,820.43 carrying over from 2020 season. You subtract the $62,350,000, that takes us down to $267,470.43 reserve in the reserve funds for 2021.
Do you
Well-
want to unmute and say something, Janetta? Then I'd like to call on Commissioner Mel.
I've been out there and I've looked at this, and I'll tell you, it's got to be done, because as it stands right now, if you put water in it with those epoxy pieces, sticking up, you're going to have people cut their feet, cut their hands and stuff like that. So it's going to have to be all ground down and blasted and resurfaced. So it's got to be done if we're going to open that thing.
Okay, Janetta?
Good morning, Commissioners. Wayne's done a great job of putting the quotes together. And as he indicated before, projects of this magnitude would have to come out of the reserve line item in the water park fund. As the commission is aware, last year with the water park not being open the entire season, the beginning cash balance that we budgeted to start 2021 was 364,000. We actually carried over only 336. So we're starting the year out $28,000 short of what we had budgeted. But we knew that going in based off of the short season that we had in 2020. So as the commission is aware, and as Wayne alluded to, that reserve is shrinking as the amount of capital projects needed to keep the water park operational is a concern. So I think at the retreat, spring retreat, we'll have to really look at prioritizing the remaining, because I know that there are some surface issues on the actual pool decking itself, as well as some other projects. But yeah, if these are a high priority, then that's the funding source that's available at this point.
What are other known expenses that you're gonna have to spend this year? I mean, do we know, do you have any clue what other costs are that you're gonna have?
We do have a couple of pumps that are out right now being looked at, so I'm waiting on a price. He said he should have the price to me today on the pump,
Okay, ballpark figure what that's gonna cost?
about $4,000.
Do you have any of the remaining repairs in your budget?
We do have some operational maintenance budget, yes.
We budget, that's a fund.
Does that take
budget
care
our
of-
entire reserve? for, so.
Now, does that take care of the, like, opening and stuff? Is that what you're,
No, that's all under the operational. We'll come back in probably about the middle of February, end of February with the operational and
That's
the
your
the
budget.
opening.
That's your.
that's a
subject to
budgeted item though?
Yes, that is
correct?
budgeted item.
Well, I think that we need to do this, and our recourse is the reserve. And, you know, the reserve has been going down. Reserves are not sacred. So we need to do it. And like I said, in the fall retreat, somewhere we need to put together a task force that talks about the replacement of the water park, but not from the city exclusively. And I talked to the Rec Commission and the YMCA, they're open to discussion. And so whether or not the school district, they're still going through their visioning process. But I think them having a swimming pool is out, but they have a swim team and they have no real adequate pool to practice. So I think that we need to look into a community aquatic center and not be this on the back of the city exclusively. And so I think the sooner we start that, the better. But the reserve is there and has been there since we had the last building of the swimming pool to handle a lot of different things. And I'm trying to think of when the date was. Does anybody remember that we built the swimming pool?
2003.
2003, so we've gone 18 years and we've made some changes in zero entrance and everything else. But if we can't get anybody to go with us, there is going to be a hard road to hoe to be able to rebuild an entire swimming pool.
I agree. I think that if I remember right, a little bit of research, that a pool like this basically has a 25-year lifespan on it. And we dump 62,000 here and 50 there and 30 here and 30 there and so on. I mean, it prolongs that just a little bit, but I agree with the mayor that at some point, we're going to have to take a big bite here and see what we can do. Either we get in or get out. And we
Make another comment.
invite the Y in and have a joint session and get down to the nitty gritty of it and figure out what we're gonna do.
Janetta?
I did some research as well, and, you know, if the collaboration with the park board and the school district, or the rec commission and the school district doesn't move forward with a shared water park. The research I did was on the ballot question that is on the half-cent special city sales tax. And in that ballot question, it did indicate that infrastructure repairs of existing city structures can be made from that sales tax. I know the focus is on sidewalks, but that special sales tax can be used for infrastructure repairs. So that is something that we can take a look at the spring retreat of what the estimated balance is. At this point, it's about 2.5 million. So if we do get in a bind, infrastructure repairs can be made with that sales tax based off of that ballot question.
That in itself is a problem with streets and drainage. So anyway,
there's
but we can look at it at spring retreat. But
Yep.
I do think that you're not going to get an answer today or this year on bringing everything together, but a aquatic center that would do away with the Y pool and then put in some money, and possibly the school district, if they're going to have a swim team with an adequate pool to practice in and everything. It brings everybody together, so it's not all on our back. So I'm just saying we need to start putting a group together to look at that. And
Agree.
we can discuss at the spring retreat and then go from there. But I would say that if you bring this repair next week, then we have to do it.
Okay.
Okay? Then you all right, Commissioner Mel?
Yep.
Okay?
Okay, the second item I have is the roofing at Lakeside Cabin. We need to, as we was putting up Christmas lights, we noticed some rot and some bad areas in the roof. And I think you should have some pictures on your board docs of the roof and the damages that we found. Staff is requesting that we put a metal roof on, just like we did the Boy Scout roof. And the price on that for Mid Kansas Construction is $12,154.19. The second quote came in at $25,230. And this will be, we can either take this out of 245, which we had 15,000 budgeted to do inside work, some remodeling on the inside. But we think it'd be better to switch that over and take care of the outside first.
I guess explain the numbers to me here. It says 29 gauge metal panels. What's the 12,154.19 and then the 8,724.70?
The 8724 is for the asphalt
Is
shingles.
for what?
Asphalt shingles.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So it's
But you have money in the budget that you
To do the
just
metal,
shift
yes.
from inside to outside.
Yes.
For the cap.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Mel?
Is 29 heavier than a 24 then? Some things go in different directions, so I'm not sure.
24 is heavier.
24 is heavier?
29 is what they put on the Boy Scout cabin
Right.
a couple of years ago.
Is that adequate?
29 is standard, or I say standard, that's what probably 95% of them are.
Okay. If we can include this in the budget, can we bring it next week?
Okay. The next item is for the golf course. Turkey Creek Golf Course is in need of to replace a 2013 Jacobson 1880 fairway mower with 3,500 hours. The original capital budget was 65,000. And we got a quote from Kansas Golf and Turf for $41,432.
Is that trade-in?
No trade-in.
No trade-in?
No, there's
They don't want it?
there's no value.
So are we gonna
We'd
just
have to,
sell it
we'd have to
ourselves
sell it
then?
on Purple Wave, or
Okay.
knowing Jason, he'll use it to part out or something, figure something out.
Well, it's a budgeted item, I'd say bring it.
Janetta, you want to address the funding?
Sure. If you recall back in the 2021 budget, we talked about the golf course equipment needs. And one of the things I want to point out is that we did not budget a transfer out of the golf course into the equipment fund to fund any of those pieces of equipment. Now, on a good note, during the 2020 season, the golf course had record revenues coming in. So we budgeted to begin 2021 in the golf course fund at $11,000. We actually brought or carried over into 2021 $113,000. So there's an extra $100,000 starting 2021 as far as cash in the golf course fund, which is phenomenal. So I would suggest that we use golf course funding to transfer over to the equipment fund to pay for this $45,000 mower or $41,000 mower.
Okay, do we have agreement on that? And you bring it next week, and
Okay.
then Janetta will do the behind the scenes, the transfer to pay for it.
Yeah, we'll make sure the motion gets indicated that the purchase is approved as well as the transfer, because I do want to get that on record as well.
The next item is just information. Last week, Gary and Nick and I, we met with Tyler and Jason. We met with Tyler with PLI to discuss the project, the erosion project at Turkey Creek Golf Course. Tyler informed us they were waiting on blocks. He said they're about 6 weeks out to starting the project. As soon as PLI has a correct number of blocks to get started, they will give us a construction schedule. We will meet with them every 2 weeks, similar to like we did for the community building to stay, so I can keep you guys abreast on what's going on.
What about the grading?
The grading, they'll start it at the same time. Staff they're going to start pumping the water out, getting the water out. And that's about it.
And you're going to have to dam
Yeah,
some
we're
of
gonna
that as
dam
well
up.
to be able to do that.
Any questions?
No.
Okay.
Glad you waited till the rainy season.
Yeah.
No, it's all subject to the blocks being made, so, and we're just, they haven't come along quite as quick as we would have liked, but we appreciate the partnership.
Okay, community building, call on Nick McQueen.
Good morning. A few things this morning. I did want to mention that with the CVB, we did put on a Friday event for Kansas Day. It was a scavenger hunt of sorts. It was kind of fun. We took 12 of the little globe refiner pins that we have and hit them all over town and gave clues on social media. We had 11 of the 12 that got found. One of them, I guess my clue was a little too difficult for people to figure out, but the one in Wall Park did not get found. So it was a pretty good day. People enjoyed it, and it was ended up kind of a nice weather day to be out and doing it. So ended up a pretty good time. So a couple things I want to discuss this morning. I did get the numbers from the January blood drive that we hosted for the Red Cross. They went well above their goals for what they had for the 2-day event. They had 35 more pints of blood donated than what they had set out to receive. That came from a total of 136 donors over the 2 days in the community building. So they requested that we do it again this summer, another one this summer, if we're willing to do that. Given the success, I guess probably something we want to consider. for it. That was enough blood to potentially help 400 people. So they were more than pleased with the space. It works out really well. It's minimal effort on their part to get set up and everything. They don't have to do anything extra that they normally would do. So if we want to, I'll just bring it back at a later date when we finalize the July date.
Sure, I think we need to keep on doing
I
it.
do
and
too. I do
it's
too.
Good for the whole region, what we're doing.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to discuss was attendance for gatherings at the community building. It's coming to me now more and more as we've kind of opened things back up a little bit for sports and things like that. Really, the reason it's coming up is recently the Activities Association extended their limits on the number of people that they're allowing at sporting events, which with McPherson Middle School hosting games there, they can now allow up to 4 per kid. Really, the community building isn't set up for that many people. Well, it is set up for that many people, but given the social distancing and things right now, I don't know that we can accommodate that and still have them spread out. We were, up until now, we were safe really letting them kind of go off what the Activities Association was doing as far as space. But if they were to allow up to 4, I think that would push us pretty tight.
We're still gonna be under 100 people slightly.
Well, not if you're taking into account both teams.
I'm not taking into account both teams.
Well, like the
Or you going
middle
A?
school team that we have in there has 25 kids.
Oh, you're
Okay,
A
so
and B. I forgot about it.
Well, even, yeah, okay. And A and B. And if they're all in there together, I mean, that's over 100 per team or 100 per team coming in. Now, granted, they do try and push people out after one game and then the next group comes in, but some of them overlap on both A and B. So I just kind of looking for some policies that we can set and what I can tell people, what they can do, what they can't do, how many people we can have, that sort of thing. We've followed what the county has done as far as gatherings up until now, even with the amount of space we have in the other side as far as gathering sport. I think it's kind of 2 different things when you're talking about sports versus maybe a more social activity rather than just sitting and watching. So it could be based on the activity. It could be based on a lot of different things, but I'm kind of looking for an answer to tell people when they call and ask on what we're going to allow and what we're not going to allow. And it comes into play too for people that are planning things that they've already had scheduled for 2 months from now or 3 months from now. They want to know what it is now because they could be looking at that 2 months from now too. So,
I'm concerned about, I mean, if my decision would be to err on the side of caution.
Mhm.
I don't want to jump into this thing and start removing requirements or adding more people or things like that. When we're starting to come out of this thing and get the cart before the horse.
yeah.
I'd rather stay like we are for a while and not be too anxious to change anything until we see this thing making a definite long-term turn.
Right. Well,
Okay.
on the sports stuff, we can continue to do
Yeah.
what was, but we just can't go anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a thing that needs any action or not. It's just what the policy I'm setting for the building. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Mhm.
That's just kind of what I'm looking for. And as far as the other activities and stuff, I mean, as far as people coming in and sitting like this, you can have a little bit more that are just sitting there listening to a person speak, as opposed to a wedding dance or something where it's more of a mingling
Mhm.
thing. So I don't know what the answer is there and what kind of policy we say about that, unless we just say we're sticking with what the county says and no more than 15 people.
But you say in the thing that 70 people if you have social distancing.
Right, and that's just based on the square footage of the open floor space in that room.
So you've been doing more than 15.
Yes, with one group in that particular setting, and they come in and they sit down and they listen and then they leave. It's not and we've had And other than that, we haven't had a whole lot of large groups even ask for anything. Because we did move all of our weddings and larger social gatherings from this summer and fall last year. Some of them canceled, some of them just moved to next year, hoping things will loosen up a little bit. And right now, some of those people are starting to try and plan for those things that they've had scheduled, and they want to know what we're allowing right now. And that, because that could be still this situation in 2 months or 3 months.
I guess from my standpoint, I'd like to see it left just like it is until maybe the 1st of March, and then take another look at it, because we are, as a county, we're starting to come down, and everybody's starting to feel just a little better about the way things are going. And maybe in 28 days of February or whatever, where we can come down some more and give that a little more thought, and you gather some more information. And
Okay.
I guess my thought would be to get back together 1st of March.
Well, we have a commission meeting on the 1st of March now, as I was saying.
There you go.
If anybody asks you, our guidelines have been set, they're still in force, and we will look at it at the beginning of March again to see where the vaccine distribution is taking place. And if the county is truly coming down, or we're going to go right back up again for some reason.
Okay. So, but we are okay continuing with what we've been doing with the school as far as
Yes,
letting the
Mhm.
parents in
Mhm.
for,
Yes.
for their
Yeah.
games.
yes.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm good. Thank you.
all right.
Jeff Woodward.
Last year, we had 3 people registered to go to the International Municipal Signal Association training. Got rescheduled. We cut it down to 1 person. And that one got canceled as well. So now it's back rescheduled for March 15th to the 19th. And we'd like to go ahead and send the original 3 that we were going to send. The registration fees have been paid, so we could send them just for the cost of the travel.
I would agree to that.
Okay.
They've taken all of safety precautions and stuff, the conference that's putting it on.
If the conference cancels out again, well, then we cancel out. I mean, that's kind of where we're at.
Okay.
Okay?
The next,
Bring it next week.
the next item, damage was done to the auxiliary building at the street department by an unknown person. An orange tension bar connected 2 plates on the outside of the building, and that bar was hit. Bricks were displaced on the outside wall. An orange spot was found on the arm of the mini excavator. So I'm assuming that the mini excavator was taken into the building and with the bucket raised too high and caused the damage. The wall needs to be replaced without delay to avoid further damage to the building. We received a quote from Kleinsword Construction in the amount of $7,350.15. I didn't get other quotes because of I contacted Kleinsword Construction. He said he could start the repairs right away.
I guess one of the reasons we need to repair it right away is we get water in there and it freezes and expands and so on, then we're gonna be in worse trouble than we are now. Or if we get a high wind and water, why, it'll be worse yet, so.
Yeah, increasing the snow load on the corner of that
Right,
building
exactly.
may make it
I
crumble.
would suggest that you bring this at 6.4
Back.
after the recess.
Okay. The next item is replacement of the mini excavator. The past few years, we've taken advantage of the Bobcat rollout program, where Bobcat gives a guaranteed buyback for their skid steers and mini excavators. They have a 1-year and a 2-year program. We're currently on the 2-year rollout program is working really well. The rollout price came in at $6,225. When we purchased the 2019 mini excavator, Bobcat predicted the rollout in 2021 would be $8,550. So over a 2-year period, the cost equates to about $356.25 per month. And the machine leases for $600 per month.
Any idea how many hours that we put on that excavator?
They use it
Every day.
every
Yes.
day, yeah. In fact, they use both of them most every day. I don't have the hours.
Okay.
I can get that to you if you'd like.
Yeah, when you bring it next week. And this is not the one we just put new tires on.
No, that was the
That was a
wheel.
skid steer.
Skid steer,
Skid
yeah.
steer. Okay.
Okay,
Jeff, does this come out of your budget, Fund 26?
Well, no, it comes out of the equipment fund usually.
Okay. Any other questions?
I think that's all I have.
Okay.
okay, thank you.
Okay, administration.
Okay, I'll defer to you, Jeanette, on the first one. Talk about title search invoice approval request.
Good morning, Commission. Based on the errors that were discovered in the calculation of special assessments for the Barnstormers paving and Storm, Premier Paving and Storm, as well as the Barnstormer pipe extension projects that were financed by the GEO Bond Series 140 from 2019. Kansas statute requires that the correction of these special assessments to the upcoming tax roll, we follow the original process. And that process requires identification of the property owner of every single lot involved in these projects. So to do this, we hired Kansas Secured Title. The cost of the title searches is $18,000. The invoice is attached. Since the project was paid out of the CIP fund, we suggest using the CIP fund to pay this invoice. We will also have legal costs to put the special assessments back on the tax roll in a corrected manner. And they will be assisting us in that process. I don't have an estimate on what that will be. I've reached out to Gilmore Bell on several occasions for that amount. But we'll bring that back to the commission when we finalize the corrected special assessment process. Any questions?
No. I guess, can we bring it next week?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Okay, next item. I want to talk about COVID-19 vaccination discussion. As many of you have heard, the McPherson County Health Department has prioritized city and county offices in their final tier of the phase 2 vaccination distribution plan. And kind of as we prepare for the potential to be able to receive those here, at a time when we don't know when it'll exactly happen. It all depends on how the vaccines end up coming in. I think it's really critical that we prepare for that when that opportunity is available. As you know, frontline police and fire have already been offered the vaccine, and many have chosen to receive the vaccinations and are waiting on second doses right now. I do want to kind of review an incentive plan and prioritize the prioritization for the vaccine for our employees, and also address COVID-19 leave once that vaccine's been fully offered and received, as far as both doses, by the employees wishing to receive that vaccine. I've attached a vaccine plan with some guidance on it. Obviously, one of the things that I did also was on Friday was able to sit in on a webinar that our work comp provider put in, and they had a number of attorneys talking about COVID leave or vaccinations and how we go forward with vaccinations. And they talked about a lot of the things that are actually on this sheet here. But one thing we want to do is try to strongly encourage it for all of our city employees. But we also I don't know if we want to go as far as requiring it from that standpoint. So a couple things that we'd like to suggest doing. We'd like to incentivize the vaccines by making a STAR available through our wellness program for those that choose to receive it, because we think it's important enough that we would provide that guidance. Now, the reality of it is there's a lot of ways you can earn stars, and a lot of ways you can earn your wellness benefit that will come in the upcoming wellness year. So this is just one other way to do it, and it does incentivize that. There may be other ways to do. I heard a slew of different things that different employers are doing to try to incentivize it, but I think from this standpoint, this makes a lot of sense for us. The other thing we need to be prepared to do is prioritize how city employees receive that vaccine once it becomes available. And I put a draft out for a potential plan on how we might pursue that going forward. Obviously, employees that have previously presented medical advice because of vulnerabilities to work from home until a vaccine is available should be the first ones to receive that. The other thing is we want to work with our police and fire personnel who have been offered the vaccine in the past, refused, and now want the vaccine, should it be offered. We want to make sure we take care of them. Departments working on limited or split shifts because of specialized knowledge. A good example of that is wastewater. We do have folks working on split shifts now. If they're offered the vaccine, we'd be able to quicker pull some of those folks back in as we move forward. Support public safety personnel that have not already been offered the support services as far as those. I think you guys have I did hear from you guys both that you've offered your support staff vaccine as well already. So they'd probably go in reality, and just police and fire personnel that have been offered and decline. And then we want to take care of our frontline customer service personnel. And those are the folks that see individuals most. We want to offer those folks next, and then we would potentially offer it to all other city employees and contract legal employees as part of that. We have had a number of calls from different agencies and wondering if they're part of the city for purposes of this. And I think that will have to go to Shaylee for her to make that determination, what they consider city. But the one thing that maybe we want to talk about is after, and this could be quite some time from now, it could be a short time, after the recommendation, after all of our employees have had a chance to receive that second dose. And the one thing we may want to talk about is eliminating some of these additional COVID leave, special leaves, or allow them to expire. As you remember, we extended all those to March 31st. And after we've given the opportunity for our employees to get that vaccine, it may be advisable to look at letting that expire or even canceling anything additional as it comes to that. But I say this with some careful protection, because some people aren't, because of medical exemptions, won't be able to take the vaccine, or if they have religious exemptions. There are a number of reasons that someone might not be able to take the vaccine, and we want to make sure we provide an ability to take care of those individuals as well. And then what we could potentially do is just allow any of those employees, after you've been able to offer the vaccine to everybody, if they do have a quarantine or become sick after that vaccine is offered, you would allow them to still take sick leave or vacation leave. You just would potentially do away with some of the additional COVID leaves that go along with that. And so I wanted to have a little discussion and see what your thoughts were on moving forward with something like this. Probably at a minimum, at least the prioritization we want to address, because what will likely happen when it does come to us is we won't have a whole lot of time to move forward. But you may want to also discuss some of the other options as far as trying to incentivize and what we do with the COVID leave after it's been offered to all of our employees.
I think the COVID leave is a whole separate issue. I think that next you can bring the policy on the vaccine. We can get that done. And then when we get into March, we can talk about where this distribution has gone, if we get any, and where we're at, and then determine what the policy is going to be on the leave and everything. So the beginning to middle of March seems to be a good time to say, have we gotten anything? I don't know if we've ever gotten anything in the county other than the 300 cases we got, except what has been made to hospital employees. So it doesn't appear like our county is on the delivery list right now. But if we set this policy, we at least know how we're going to encourage our people to go. And the hospital has put out on their portal, anybody that is in their clinics, and ask you to fill out the porthole so that they know the different age groups and everything of their patients and issues that you may have, so they're ready to distribute anybody that's been using local doctors. But I don't see any of us having vaccine right now, but I think we should set our priorities so that they either we're going to be on the list through somebody, or you're going to be on your local doctor's list.
Well, I think, you know, the one piece that, at least the incentive piece, if we can potentially move forward with that, you know, when the opportunity does come, our employees need to understand, you know, why it's important to us, and you know, that we've prioritized it as as an option. So
Yeah, I don't think we have any problem with that, adding a star to that program there, but I'm saying what you have here, we bring it up next week and we pass it and you put it into policy that instead of just a recommendation, and we pass it next week.
I agree.
and if there's any guidance that you, as far as prioritization and that anybody wants to provide me, just let me know and we'll make any adjustments that you guys think are appropriate.
Okay.
Okay, don't leave that page. Does anybody have anything else for study session?